My involvement in EDRS came about a number of years back. I started with all of the first conferences that they did, just because I've been in the field a long time and there wasn't anybody that was really bringing the whole eating disorder community together. And EDRS has done that. It's really awesome what they've done. The first conference we did, it was scary. This is like official, and we're really getting a role, and it's really good because we're bringing people from all over the Bay Area, out of the area. We even have, I'm a registrar, so we had people here from Missouri, I had people from Florida, who came because of the quality of the speakers and what we're doing here. You know, and I think anything that we can do to raise awareness about eating disorders is really the important thing, because it is the thing that kills a lot of people, and I'll do whatever I can to help it. It feels like when we talk about eating disorders, I don't think it's just us as professionals, I think it's the culture at large. We think about eating disorders, and what we immediately think about is anorexia nervosa. Everybody that has an eating disorder is anorexic. We really want to pay attention to those low-weight girls, those low-weight boys, low-weight women, you know, low-weight men, because they present usually with so much going on. And I think that that's kind of a bias. If you look at some of the statistics now, the average age for someone who's in a residential program is 30 years old. The average. You know, my youngest client is 8, my oldest is 66. So the range is much bigger. So when we're looking at, you know, like when we've been here, people are talking about these residential programs for kids and things, then there's a lot of it that's there. But I think we have to kind of, when I'm talking about levels of care, I want you to kind of expand your mind out to the whole spectrum of eating disorders, not just the anorexic. We're also looking at the bulimic. You know, bulimia will take people into inpatient programs, partial programs, IOPs, and other levels of care as well, because they get in trouble just as well. And now this year, I think it's this year that, you know, the DSM actually has binge eating disorder, and I put that on that first page you have there. I gave you kind of the diagnostic criteria, so you'd know what they are. I mean, if you've been working in the field, you probably know these by heart and memorize them and say them in your sleep. But they really, you know, binge eating disorder is a very different kind of population as well. And then the other thing that, we're not there yet. And Deb Burgard and I were talking about this yesterday, but this idea of the obesity epidemic, as Michelle Obama calls it, is also this idea, is do we identify people who are obese as eating disorder? I remember hearing a doctor say to me one time, eating disorders are about a minority of people. So if you have the majority of people in the country that are overweight, then obesity is not an eating disorder. Interesting rationalization in my mind. I think there's also a lot of misdiagnosis. Internet is helping us a lot with this. You know, I don't care what they said when you looked on the symptoms of the internet, you are not anorexic. You know, well, but I don't, you know, I fail to maintain my weight. I'm sorry, no matter what you say, it's just not there. In reality, when we're looking at the anorexic, this is sort of what the anorexic sees. You know, they look in the mirror. I read a really interesting study, I'm trying to remember where, I think it was out of either NYU or Columbia, where some doctors were studying the effects of malnutrition on the brain, and they were saying that the part of the brain that is the most impacted by malnutrition is the occipital lobe, which means when you have a client that says, I look in the mirror and I see fat, they do see fat. Their eye vision is actually being shifted, and they're distorting the image. We do it in our program because we do a body image thing. Beth has done with in our program. We'll lay the girls down and mark their head, you know, their shoulders, just where they are, and say, draw how big you think you are. And then they draw these things, and we lay them down and trace them, and they go, no, really, I think I'm, you know. So there's this distortion in their bodies.